the, we'll have the executive members of KESID to introduce themselves. Then we will have, we had 3 speakers who were to speak today, but unfortunately, one will not be able to join us because of unexpected circumstances. So thereafter, the 2 speakers will talk, and then we'll have a Q&A, and then we finish. My name is Jimmy Ochieng. I'm the president of KESID, and I'm glad that you've all joined us. So I would like my other executive committee members to please introduce themselves. Sheila, you can go next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So my name is Sheila Cherono. I am mechanical engineering PhD student at North Carolina A&T State University. Welcome all of you. That's it.
Thank you. John Kimita. If John is not available, Nancy.
Good evening. I'm still in school, sorry about that. So my name is Nancy Rotich. I'm the vice president, and yeah, excited for this first meeting for the semester or the year. So karibuni.
Teresa.
Hi, good evening. My name is Triza Ombewa. I'm a student at Media School, Indiana University. Happy to see all of you joining us, and I'm the coordinator. Guess it. Karibuni.
Lynn.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lynn Ombati. I am the visual content manager for KESID. This is my first meeting with KESID, so I am thrilled to be here, and thank you all for joining us. I am currently a graduate student at Indiana University, pursuing a Master of Arts in Arts Administration. Karibuni nyote.
Thank you. So the speaker for today is first Dr. Patrick Ochieng, who is Chair and Associate Professor of Chemistry and Biochemistry at Oakwood University. And the second speaker is Professor Jerono Chorotich, who's an Associate Dean for Organizational Climate, Inclusion, and Belonging, and also a professor in the Department of Kinesiology. We can start with Dr. Patrick and then Jerono.
Good evening, everybody, wherever you are. And for those who are in Kenya, maybe it's good morning. I know some people usually log in from Kenya, so I just want to recognize if there's anybody logging in from Kenya. So, so first I want to thank the organizers of this and Jimmy and your team, and for the invite that I got from Professor Jerono Rotich I look at this as a conversation, to have a conversation with you guys. So when I looked at the flyer pretty much talked about, I would see financial wellness. And that was really standing out for me. And then I saw the do's, don't, and anything in between, right? So I was caught up in between, okay. So is this really, is this a financial thing, or is this just a general way that maybe a graduate students, general things that I need to share with graduate students? And yesterday, I think maybe yesterday or the day before yesterday, Professor Cherono sort of shed some light, and at least I was able to get a better picture. So I will begin by introducing myself, just for the sake of this. Yes.
Let me just say something. So, because for those who are in the forum, so the beauty with KESID is a student-led. I founded the organization, but the students are leading. So we have a series called the Do's and Don'ts and anything in between. So we have a series that is going on. So this one is financial wellness, but of course the do's and the don'ts in financial wellness. So this will be a series that will continue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that enlightenment. So I will introduce myself. So for those who I may not have met, or those who have not met me, so my name is Patrick Ochieng. So I like to, I know we are big in addressing ourselves sometimes as doctor or professor, but just feel free to call me Patrick, because I consider you my colleagues. Once you get into the league of graduate student, you are now like my colleague, because the next time you will be like me. So my name is Patrick Ochieng. I currently, as you've been told, I teach at Oakwood University. I'm also the chair of the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. I have been to KESID before. So last year, I think I was invited and I had a talk. So a few of you may remember. Just a little bit of my history is that 20 years ago, in the year 2003, I got accepted for a master's program in Western Michigan University. So that is in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So for those who are in the Indiana, I'm sure you are close to Michigan. And I hope you can hear me, because I think I might have Wi-Fi issues. Can you get me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh yeah, because I saw Professor Cherono froze, so I thought it was my Wi-Fi. Okay, so I was accepted to Western Michigan University, where I was coming to pursue a master's in chemistry. So one of the exciting things that I experienced was when I got that letter. It was amazing to me that these people did not know me. These people, I had no uncle or auntie or relative anywhere, and I sent my applications, and lo and behold, I was accepted. And the beauty of people who pursue chemistry, maybe biochemistry, as well as biological sciences, is that you will never be accepted if they will not offer you a full scholarship. So they either accept you and they offer you the scholarship, or you don't get the acceptance. So when I got the acceptance, I saw that letter. And I was reading that letter and smiling at myself, because for the first time, and I'm sure you will laugh at this today, but for the first time, I was going to get a whole $12,000 a year. I'm sure if I say that, it sounds like a joke today, because people will be like, what's $12,000? I was going to get $12,000 in the backdrop of a job that I was getting hardly 15,000 Kenya shillings. So that was about $200. So when I did the math, I was like, okay, $200 versus $1,000 per month. There's nothing really that can beat that. So I was really excited. So I just want to put that out there, that when I came to the US, unlike some of you who may not have come with some funding, I came with full funding. So that meant the process of the visa interview and all that was pretty smooth, because if you have money, a university is putting money on you, then everything is quite straightforward. So I came in and I pursued a master's of science in chemistry and biochemistry. And so I'm just trying to walk this story, also trying to weave in some financial wellness things that I learned throughout the journey. So throughout the journey, I learned quickly that yes, you are a graduate student, you have been given this funding, And this funding is maybe $1,000 a month. And there are taxes that come, okay? So taxes will chip away some of it. You have to pay your bills. And then you start to realize that, okay, that money is not as much as you thought. And because it's not as much as you thought, you have to start making decisions that will make financial sense. What do I mean by that? You probably might think that you can, okay, with $1,000, then you can come look for an apartment, your own apartment, and then get into the apartment and then, you know, settle in. But pretty quick, when I came, we realized that a 2-bedroom apartment was $600. So $600 with $1,000 after taxes, it comes to $800. That's not, it's not financially prudent to decide to rent a 2-bedroom apartment and stay there by yourself. So what we did is we had a group of other students, Kenyan students. So we decided to patch together. So we lived, actually 3 of us. So we were able to share the rent. So one of the things that I think I want to share with you as a lesson, sometimes you might think that money is a lot and you might want to live by yourself in a 2-bedroom, maybe a 1-bedroom. And sometimes, truth be told, you are living beyond your means. You just need to assess what you can afford with that money. In our case, we lived actually 3 people, and at some point we lived 4 people. So at some point my rent was $150. The rule of thumb is they say that you don't want to pay rent. You don't want to pay rent. Financial experts say this. You don't want to pay rent anything more than 30% of your net income. So if you are in a place where you are paying more than 30%, chances are, for lack of a better word, you are living beyond your means. Okay, so you might want to start looking at cheaper alternatives or pairing up with some roommates so that you can save some money. Okay, so we are going through this academic process, and of course, you know, you are getting that little stipend, but you are also expected to make certain grades. So you are expected to maintain certain standards. A graduate student, if you get anything below a B, you might lose your scholarship, or you might lose your graduate assistantship. Most scholarships in the US are graduate assistantship. So that means you have to work for your department. And if you work for your department, there are those job work obligations, but you also have to make certain grades. So for you to remain in good standing, you have to get certain grade, and that means you have to pay attention to your schoolwork. So that for me went pretty well. I really did not have a problem. Along the way, what my colleagues and I, because we had some few Kenyans in the institution, we started to figure out something. We noticed that the Kenyan community, or the African community in general, there are lots of people who die. Okay, so people lose their loved ones. So there's maybe you lose a brother, a father, a sister, and many of us do that. So what we observed is that the Kenyan community, or the African community in general, we are very strong in these social welfare aspects. Okay, we are very strong in that. But did you know that many people actually make these contributions even though they might be struggling financially? Many of us do struggle, but we you know, because people are dying almost on a weekly basis, so you have to contribute money here, contribute money there. So what we as a community, with a few of my friends, actually we were 7, we said, this is unsustainable. I mean, we cannot, just the little stipend that I get, if I keep paying $50 for almost every week, how am I going to survive? So what we decided is we decided to form a SACCO. Okay, most of us came from a company where we belong to a SACCO. So a SACCO, we just came together and said, we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And as we are here, let's try to figure out a way that we can pool resources together. As we pull these resources together, we will be investing these resources so that we can get back dividends. We can be borrowing from these resources, but also in the meantime, you are accruing savings, because before you realize it, you will have graduated and you have zero savings. The rule of thumb, for every little money you get, please commit 5 to 10% of what you get towards savings. However you want to do that, I am not going to instruct you, but we figured out that all I needed to do was to get some money, whatever I would get, and put it into this SACCO that we created. And to cut the long story short about the SACCO, this SACCO that we created helped some people pay school fees. The SACCO that we created helped me build a house. The SACCO that we created helped some people buy land. The SACCO that we created helped some people even finance their wedding expenses, and so on and so forth. So you have to project and look at what is going to come ahead, because if you don't start that savings now, there is not going to be a time where you will think you have enough. Whatever little you have, commit 5 to 10%, make sure that you put it aside. Put it in a place where you cannot just get it back. The beauty of the SACCO is that you could not just get that money anytime you wanted it. If you wanted it, you had to take it as a loan and you had to pay interest. And we invested it. And guess what? 6 or 7 years later, when I was looking at my account, it had $10,000. That's money that it was little. I never struggled. I was just putting in maybe $30, $40, $50 a month. But in a few years, that money was $10,000. So I just want to challenge you guys. Start now. If you've not started any savings, maybe this is the time to consider putting something aside, so that whenever you have any issues, again, financial experts advise us that you should always have something that can take you for 6 months in the event you lose your job or you lose your scholarship. Are you doing something to make sure that you achieve that? If not, maybe that's a challenge that you need to pick up. So we did that, and then eventually I got to I graduated. I went to Michigan State University. I did a PhD. It also took me long, 8 years. And there is another elephant in the room that I was a victim of. I'm sure many of you and all of us, I think we can say without a doubt, we've been a victim of some struggling with some debt, okay? Struggling with some debt. Either somebody is owing you money and they don't want to give it back, or you are owing somebody money, right? So that's always a struggle that we get into. And when we come here from Kenya, what we find very, very liberally in this country is a credit card. So you can walk into a bank as long as you have an account, apply for a credit card. And once you apply for a credit card, then you get what? You get some credit, and you can use that credit however you want, as long as you are paying it. Okay. So one of the problems I ran into is that there was a point in time where, okay, I have a family, I have my wife, and they are here as F2, so they cannot work. They are depending on me. So now I can no longer share rooms. The stipend is small, and then you find yourself living in a situation where your expenditure is more than your income. What does that mean when your expenditure is more than your income? Is that you are going to get into debt naturally. So you are going to find yourself swiping the credit card, and before you realize it, okay, the credit card has increased $200. The next month, another $200. before you realize the minimum payment, you cannot make the minimum payments for the credit card. And that can be catastrophic, okay? So you just wanna make sure that you control your expenditure so that you don't get out of control, your debt does not get out of control. In my situation, I was able to restructure and say, even if it means going to a cheaper house, sometimes, you know, we say, oh, I don't like that neighborhood. I don't like to be in that place. What? Sometimes that's what it takes. You have to restructure yourself and say you can no longer live beyond your means. In Kenya, I think it's, so what I have noticed in Kenya is almost everybody lives beyond their means, even the rich people. The people you think as rich, the MPs, those MPs, do you know at the end of the month, their paycheck is negative and they still have obligation. So, and then you meet somebody, a friend of yours, you look at the phone they own, they have a Samsung Galaxy, maybe $300, $400, but they hardly make 10,000 or 15,000 per month. That's a typical scenario of living beyond your means. So you sometimes in the US, you have to restructure yourself so that you take the difficult decisions. And please just tell yourself, I am gonna have to survive through this, but then for the better good. So we decided to get into, you know, a smaller house. We cut, by the way, I even cut myself, my house phone, I cut cable, I cut so many things. Got to a point where now I was having a surplus. Then I got into the savings culture. By the time I was graduating, did you know that on top of the 10,000 that I had made, I mean, from the SACCO, I was graduating with possibly another $5,000 to $6,000. So when I was getting out there after graduating, I felt like, you know, I have some finances that can help me through. So those are a few things that I can share. But in general, I did want to say there are a few, I say things that I would, with my observation in hindsight, I will tell people based on my experience and other people's experiences. There are some do's, of course, like I said, there are things that you need to do. You make sure that you don't live beyond your means. You make sure that you obey the law. You do certain things that will enhance your experience as a student. Yes, apply for a credit card, but make sure that you don't overspend. You know, even if you get a graduate assistantship, you want to make sure that you maintain a certain GPA of 3, and you open a bank account. Yes, have that credit card, but be careful how you spend the money. But then there are a few things also that you need to avoid that I actually have seen. So now that I'm applying for citizenship process, I have noticed that everything that you did will follow you. Whatever you did will follow you. Okay, let me just, and I know it might sound, some people might dismiss it. You know, how many times do you go somewhere and people ask you, are you a citizen? Yes or no? Do you know that question, depending if you asked it, if you answered it yes somewhere and maybe did something, it can come back to haunt you? Do you know that sometimes, you know, we get these things on the mail, or the voting, whatever, do you want to vote? And then you may be tempted to fill that in and find yourself voting. Do you know if you did that, that would actually sort of like make you ineligible for citizenship? Do you know there are certain things that you can claim? For example, you know, somebody will tell you, oh, you know, there is just go and apply for food stamp, right? There's this food stamp somewhere, just go apply, you know, there's all this money. Please don't. Because what you will realize is that you actually might get away and actually get that food stamp or get those things. But when it gets to the point where maybe you are considering applying for permanent residency or citizenship, those things will come to bite you. Do you know that if you got a speeding ticket, that you have to declare when you are applying for citizenship or residency, you got a ticket, and you have to explain what the ticket was all about, okay? And do you know that those things come back to haunt you? So what I'm trying to say, please obey the law. Things like drinking and driving, just as far as possible, don't engage in that. That can not only ruin your life, it can lead to your deportation. And there are many other things that if we had time, I could share. But at this point, I think in the interest of time, I want to defer this to Professor Chirono because there's a lot to talk about in this area. So let me defer to Professor Chirono, and then I'll reserve whatever you have in the Q&A section. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cheng. We appreciate that. So you have covered a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the things that you have not covered. So this topic, like I said again, the students came up. It's a series. We're going with the Chronicles of international students, the do's and the don'ts. And this time is wellness. And when we look at financial wellness, if you look at the definition of that, it means in this case, we're helping students obtain information that will help you to navigate your career as a student in the USA, especially as an international student. So we're looking at the do's, some of the things that can really help you. Daktari has covered most of them. One of the things that I want to say is the do's is, number one is you are your own ambassador. You are your own ambassador. You are your own marketer. How do you market yourself? So be visible on your campuses. Be visible in your department. Nobody's going to speak for you. So be visible in your campus. Start with your department. So don't just be that person who comes into class and then leaves. So be that student who comes to class on time, meet with your professors, get to know them, get to know your colleagues. The reason why I'm saying get to know your professors is I served as a department chair for several years back before I took the position of associate dean. So many times, and Dr. Chen will agree with me, you get an email and they say, hey, we have some funding here. Do you know a student who qualifies for this? And guess who I'm going to recommend? I'm going to recommend that student that I know. I'm going to recommend that student who is very active. I'm going to recommend that student who is involved. So again, market yourself, stay relevant, get engaged, be engaged in your department, because in the event that you have any issues, you don't need to be introduced. They're like, oh, so-and-so, oh, I know Jimmy. Jimmy is a great student. What's going on? Let's see what we can do to help. So most students, most universities, we get reviewed based on retention. So we have to retain our students. So it's not just bringing you. So every institution, we bring students we want to retain. We want to make sure you graduate and you graduate on time. So again, be that person who is engaged, who stays relevant, who is gets to know their professors. Get to know your professors. Some of them are doing research. Get to know them and say, hey, you know what? I like what you're doing. What research are you doing? They could pay you hourly. They could have some funding. You can get paid on campus. So they could either give you a scholarship, a fellowship, or they could even pay you hourly. So, but again, get close to them, be interested, find out what they're doing, and seek out and say, hey, this is really interesting. So the next one is build networks. So you want to build your networks within your school. Again, like I said, with your students, your core students, they have information. With your professors, with your department chair, make sure you know them, with your advisor. Have mentors. Have a mentor. I still have mentors. I have mentors up to this day. I have mentors. I have a sponsor. Guess what? A sponsor is somebody who speaks on behalf of you when you're not in the room. So let's say I'm in a faculty meeting and they're like, oh, we have some funding that was earmarked for this. Do you know any student? I'm going to use Jimmy because he's a president. I'm going to say, you know what? I know Jimmy is a very good student. So that's the person that I'm sponsoring. I'm speaking up for you. But I wouldn't do that if I don't know you, if I don't know your work ethics, if I don't know that you're a good student. So I'm going to say, you know what, I have this student who will be very good. You know, part of my job now, I do a lot of nominations for awards. I was like, this person would be very good. So again, have those sponsors, build your networks with the International Students Office. Because if you run into problems, those are the ones who will point you out. They will tell you exactly what is going on. They will be your allies. They will be your support system. So build those networks. So that, like, again, I say in the event that you're stuck, they will be the first ones to really support and advise you. Work on campus. You know, of course, as international students, you can really work off campus. And part of what Patrick says is maintain your status, because every little thing will show up. Every little thing. You had a lapse, you had this, every little thing will show up. Work on campus. You can work on campus anytime. You know, one of 3 favorite places that I used to like working on campus was a cafeteria. And guess what? I used to work like right out close to lunchtime. So that way I can go eat lunch for free and I eat dinner before I leave. So that was a good place. I worked in the cafeteria between 1 and something those hours I'm not in class. That way my dinner and my lunch is covered, and I even take some home for the next day. I worked in the library. Library is a very good place to work because you can study when you're in the library. So I used to work from the cafeteria, and I leave the cafeteria, I go to the library. There I'm still getting paid and I am studying. Another place that you can, if you're able to do that, is be an RA, residential assistant, because you know what, your accommodation is covered. So be very strategic and look for those places where they can help you. So again, like I said, be an RA. That way, you know, your accommodation is covered, the cafeteria. Keep your grades. Dr. said, I cannot overemphasize that. Your grades, your grades, your grades, your grades. If you are on any scholarship, if you're an athletic scholarship, if you are on an athletic scholarship, again, it's based on your grades and your performance. So whatever scholarship you are in, if you are a grad assistant, make sure you're performing. I've had grad students fired because they're not showing up on time, they're not communicating. So be the best that you can be. You know, whatever position you're in, be the best that you can be. If you're a TA, teaching assistant, research assistant, again, be the best that you can be and show interest, because if you're not interested, if you're not doing a good job, chances are that your scholarship may not be renewed. So again, be the best that you can be. Stay connected, stay connected, stay connected. I cannot again overemphasize this. You know, in Kenya, you have all this, but here in the United States, we are family. So stay connected with the fellow international students, be connected to the community. Be connected, you know, to a local church, your Kenyan community. We call it social investment. If you're not invested in the community, guess what? If you have an emergency, people are going to say, where were they? I don't know them. And people get burned out, especially with the complaint that I hear is international students disappear. And then when they have an emergency, they all show up. So be connected, show up in those meetings, show up in those events. And you never know when you're going to need help. Again, that's where you get a lot of information. We have this KESID for you to be connected. This is a great platform. Get connected, get information, learn one thing or there. Don't be left out. You know, one thing with the community is, and again, those of you who have that opportunity to do that, like Dr. says, some of you may not be in a position to get into, you know, a circle like he said, but we have a lot of benevolence groups in our communities now. Benevolent groups is like people come together, it's a social investment. God forbid if something happens to you or if you lose a loved one, these are people that they will give you money. So for example, find out within your local community, see if they have any benevolent. They have so many benevolent groups where you contribute. Give an example of one in North Carolina, you know, you pay a fee to start to join. But then most organizations, if you say you are a student, and maybe the fee to register is $200, you can pay slowly until you pay it up. But there are organizations where you only pay $40. If you lose a loved one, they give you a check of $6,000. That's enough to cover your ticket. That's enough to cover your trip. Or if you are not able to travel, that's enough to give you money so you can send to your loved ones. So don't just wait and hope that people will show up and support you. People are getting burned out. So again, find out what benevolent group is here. I think right here in Indianapolis, we have 2. Where I lived in North Carolina, there were like 3 different groups. And, you know, so there's so many groups. Be connected, be a community member. And the don'ts is don't live in silos. Do not be a silo. We as a community, we are family. We are your parents. We are your aunties. We are your sisters. We are your brothers. So stay connected to a community. Maintain your status. Over and over again, we cannot overemphasize that. God forbid should anything happen, because if you're not in status, you could also lose your financial aid. You could lose any financial support that you have. If you have any incidents, like let's say, for example, you are not getting full financial aid or you're not getting a full scholarship. So be proactive. So I'll give an example. If you're getting partial financial aid or scholarship, use your summer to make money. If you don't have to go to school in the summer, I never went to school in the summer. So in the summer, I went to school in the fall and in the spring. Guess what I did in the summer? I worked on campus. You know, in the summer, you can work full time. I used to work in the dorms. I cleaned the dorms. I did the grounds. So I worked 40 hours in the summer. And that way I was able to save enough money to cover my accommodation for the spring and the fall. So summer, again, international students, during the semester, you can work 20 hours a week, but during the summer, you can work 40 hours a week. So use that summer to build up those relationships. If you're on a partial scholarship, don't strain your parents. It's a lot of money. Build those relationships. Stop in offices and say, hey, what are you doing? You know, I need help. You know, I remember when I was doing my master's, my PhD, I was not getting a lot of money. So I went to another department and I talked to this professor, this director, and where I was being given a stipend of $200, my stipend increased to $1,000. And I was able to pay my accommodation. So again, I cannot overemphasize, get out of your comfort zone, go to international office, the networks that you have. There is always help, and people on college campuses, our mission is students. We are here to serve students. So if you're not succeeding, then we are not doing good. So we'll do above and beyond to help you and to support your students. So again, don't wait until the last minute if you have an emergency. Over the last few weeks, few months, I've received calls from students saying, oh, this is the beginning of the fall semester. I still owe tuition for last semester and I can't register. You're right, you can. Nobody will let you get into the next semester if you have a balance. So plan ahead of time. Again, like I said, use that summer. Make sure you pay or make a payment plan. Sign up for a payment plan and communicate and let them know, okay, this is my payment plan, this is how much I'm making. But don't wait until the last minute, because at the last minute, no one can really help you. Take advantage of resources on campus. There are so many resources on campus. Go to workshops. That's how you build your resume. That's how you build your resume. That's how you get those jobs on campus. That's how you get connected for internships. That's how you get connected for jobs. So go to those workshops that are offered on campus. Take advantage of those tutoring sessions or writing sessions. You know, take advantage of each and everything that is on campus, because you never know who you're going to meet. And then after those workshops are done, introduce yourself. Don't just walk away. And don't be on your phone when you get in there, because whenever I'm presenting, I'm like, God, what's wrong with this child? It's sitting there and they're on their phone. So be engaged, introduce yourself, say, I'm so-and-so. I really enjoyed your workshop. I'll follow up again, and follow up with an email. So again, take advantage of those internships. Like I said, build those relationships, because you never know who can connect you to your OPT. Again, those who are in STEM know that you can do up to 3 years. Those who are not in STEM, you can do an OPT for 1 year. Again, that's how you get those OPTs, is through the connections that your professors have, that your faculty members have, that your networks have, that people that you meet at church, people that you meet in the community. So that's how they'll connect. Oh, I'm so-and-so, I'm a student here. Great. You know, you'll find CEOs and directors and people of company in communities, in churches. Those who are able to take advantage of those, we have this EB2, that is a national interest waiver. Take advantage of those. Go to conferences. Go to conferences, go to workshops. Those are great opportunities to network, like those of you in KESID and Patrick. So go to conferences, build those networks, pick up on those mentors. Again, when you go to conferences, you meet people, there are jobs that are being advertised, there are scholarships that are being offered. And so take advantage of those, and let's see what else is, don't go to school in the summer if you don't have to go. Use that summer to really build up your financial base to save for that. Be frugal in your spending. Be very frugal. When I was a student, I used to go to Goodwill Boutique, and I still go there. There are places that you can get good deals. Go to Goodwill, go to thrift stores. It's funny because when I first started here, when I was here when I was doing my PhD, and Sheila knows that Greensboro, when I moved from New York, when I did my master's in New York, so when I moved to North Carolina, I had nothing. Guess where I started from? That trash day that they throw away those bulk things? That is how I started my apartment. I had an empty apartment. Friday morning, the days they pick up, I remember carrying my mattress all the way, dragging it to my room. I picked the mattress from the street. I picked the bed from the street. I picked the couch from the street. I started from nowhere, and I wasn't ashamed because I didn't have anything. So at that time, I was very frugal. I knew my limitations. I said, hey, this is what I'm going to take advantage of. So a group of us international students, we used to go on a walk at night when they throw away the bulk stuff, and we'll help each other to carry. You find something that you like, we'll help you to drag it. Sharon, that was on Mendenhall. I used to live on Mendenhall, and I picked a lot of stuff. So I picked stuff from the street, and I'm not ashamed of that. And I'm here today, and I don't need to go there. But again, key thing is be very, yes. Sure, go ahead.
Really true. That is really true. My current couches that I use, I collected them on the trash downstairs.
Yeah.
They're very beautiful.
I did that. I collected them from, you go outside, I'm like, I need help. I need that. Put it right back. Go to Goodwill. And, so don't be ashamed again. This is not an easy country, but the key thing is we did it. Like I said, I started from the street. I had nothing, and I'm here now, very comfortable. I can't complain. A citizen can't complain, and doing well in leadership at a Big Ten institution. So you can also do it. We are here to support you. We are here to stand with you. We started this KESID because we realized that there was no network for students. So take advantage of these opportunities. If you have any questions, reach out to any of us. We are here, but don't wait until the last minute, because when you wait until the last minute, even if somebody wanted to help you, it's just too late. I had a student say, hey, I need to pay $10,000. By Friday, this was Monday, I said, where are you going to get $10,000? Even if you went to somebody's office, even if you went to get a payment plan, it's so late. So don't wait until the last minute. But anyway, finally, I think they were able to get help from the university. So I'll stop there so we can ask questions. We'll open up for questions.
Thank you very much, Professor Jerono and Ochieng, for sharing your wisdom and experiences, and hope one or two of you students will be able to benefit from that. So if anybody has a question, you can raise your hand or just drop it in the chat.
Yeah. Mr. Ochieng, I forgot one thing that I wanted to share. For those of you who are families, so when I finished my master's, I was pregnant with my baby, and I really didn't want to be out of status. So what I did was I took medical leave, but I went to a community college and took classes. So I went to a community college, took classes so I could sustain that. So again, if you need medical leave, make sure you communicate. You can actually use that. If you have a child or if you have this, just go ahead and take that and make sure you communicate with the International Students Office and get any help you need.
Thank you. So anyone, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or just type it in the chat. Yes, Karaoke.
This was a very insightful session, and I have a few follow-up comments, but I'll ask my question. My question is directed to Bonapatrick. How do you create your relationship with money? I'll give a personal context to help you understand the question better.
Yes, yes.
I realized that I'm very frugal, and even bills hurt to an extent, even though it's a $20 bill for maybe monthly insurance. And then when I did my financial health, I realized that I don't spend as much as I do. So even though others would consider that my financial habits are, okay, I still feel like there's that pinch because you like to safeguard as much as your finances as possible. So I'm just trying to figure out, maybe it's my relationship with my own finances. So which leads me to the question, how do you establish your relationship with your money?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I think that's a great question. So so for me, let me just, and I never used to do this, but I have learned this over time. I have learned that, and I know in Kenya we don't do this. So we come with very bad habits from Kenya. In Kenya you get your salary and you just unatoka kwa salary, umeenda umenunua hii, you just start buying things, and then later you start to figure out, what am I doing? So I learned at some point you need to have a budget. You need to have a monthly budget. So at least for me, that's what I do. So I have a spreadsheet where I do my income and I have a budget. That budget, there are certain norms that we have been taught in the finance, right? There are certain norms that, okay, if you are paying more than this percentage in this, maybe you are not, you need to reduce that. Okay, if you are paying, I mean, it's always okay if you are paying less, okay, because everybody, ultimately for me, my goal was I want to save something reasonable, because as a graduate student, what is different with somebody who is working? What's different is that the person who is working, they are not only deducted as savings from their salary, it's called 401k. That company also is matching. So just to give you a perspective, for the 7 years I've been working, the deductions and the matching that the company has been doing for me, my account is in excess of $80,000 just in 7 years. Remember, if you are in school for 7 years, somebody who is working like me already has $70,000 sitting somewhere, but you are starting from zero. So the way I was looking at it is, I want to make sure that I put my savings maybe 10 to 20% of what I'm getting. And you see what, with the budget that I have, now I start to plan around that. And I go back to what Professor Shirono said. We were shopping from Save a Lot. In fact, for me, Walmart was too expensive. I mean, I couldn't buy. I thought that I would ask myself, who buys things from Walmart? Little did I know that now I can comfortably walk to Walmart and buy everything that I want to buy. At that point, I was like, who buys from Walmart? There was a store in those areas called Myers. Those were very expensive. So we went to Save a Lot. We went to Goodwill. Okay, so that's where most of the things, and like others have said, you just pick up some things that you get in the trash, for lack of a better word. They are put somewhere close to the trash. So we did all those things. And for me, is just find the right balance. I don't know whether that everybody will do it the same. Just find the right balance that you still find yourself, you derive some satisfaction from the progress that you are making in terms of your savings. What I would discourage is spending all your money. Please don't do that. Save at least some money so that when you find yourself in an emergency, it's that savings that is going to help you. Okay, and more likely than not, at some point you will find yourself in some problem. So I guess the answer to your question, my relationship with money is I plan for it and I see what makes sense. And over time, I started to realize that, just giving out money because you are trying to support every single thing that you are trying to support may also be a problem, because when you do the math, you are giving more than what you could have saved. So it's a balancing act. So that's really what I would say. And And that's a great question. Was that Titus or who asked the question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That's a great question.
Thank you so much, Bwana Patrick. And I'll be quick with my comments. Professor Gerono, I agree with everything that you said as a recent graduate. And one, I regret not having I regret not investing more in my professors in undergrad because they are your sponsors, they are advocates and mentors. And it's thanks to God that they actually nominated me for a final undergrad award. Two is, again, I'm also a huge proponent for goodwill, like save as much as you can, but also spend within your limits because, again, it's a phenomena of being a broke college student. When you're a college student, you don't have a choice. You're broke, essentially, quote unquote. Three is do not keep up with the Jones. I know some of us go to school with very rich kids. They drive with Lamborghinis and Rev4s and all those big cars, but you never know. Maybe they have student debt. So everyone on their own lane. That's another thing I've learned. Four is relationships. Again, the person you might talk to might land you your next internship or next job. So invest in that. And then number five, one thing I've learned, I just came up with this quote like 30 minutes ago. In Kiswahili, GPA ni pesa. In English, GPA is money because good GPAs, they're not everything, but they will give you scholarships like no man's business. And the higher your GPA, the higher of a chance of getting good scholarships. So those are just some past nuggets, and I hope they help somebody. Asanteni, thank you.
Great. Good point. Actually, when you're a student, your number one priority is your GPA. When you graduate, then you start focusing on your credit scores. So in life, there's always something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw, I saw somebody asking something about a dental. What options do international students have when it comes to dental fees? Most of our insurance covers general cleanings, not major procedures like implants or braces. And I since I have a quick experience with this, if I can take a minute, just dental insurance, even the good insurance that we have, they don't cover much. Dental insurances are a little, that's one of the tricky situation. Personally, I had serious dental issues. And you know what, as a student, my teeth was not the best. I had, everything was crazy, and I just came to the conclusion it was gonna take me too much because it was in the ballpark of $20,000 to do the entire implant and all that. Okay, guess what? When you are physically responsible and you finally get to where you wanna be, you can do whatever you want to do with your dental. So I would just say, as a student, you might have to live with your dental problems for the time being. But after you get there, other than the extreme ones where you have to, you have to do extract and all that, those are the cheap, and it's not even cheap. Tooth extraction is like $300, just extracting one tooth. So it's gonna be a problem until you get to some point where you are financially capable to do some of these things.
Yeah, Dr. What I've noticed is there are some communities where, like at churches, they have dental clinics, free dental clinics. So like, again, be on the lookout because they have some of those, and it caters for students or those who don't have insurance. So take advantage of those. Again, like I said, network yourself, get to know the community, get to know those churches. They have a lot of resources that you can take advantage of. I made a mistake of, every time I had my tooth was hurting, I'm like, take it off until later on. I ended up taking all my teeth. Now I had to pay so much money to get implants and to get bridges. I'm like, so don't do that. The dental is a key thing. So take advantage, again, there's networks, there's resources that are in the community.
Yeah, actually, one of the churches 3 or so weeks ago had a dental where so many people got to benefit. So I agree with you. Ife, you have your hand up.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I would just like to contribute on the dental question. So when I was a graduate student, my dental insurance did not cover my dental procedure, and I really had dental issues. So what I did was I went to the public health, the county public health department, and I discovered that they actually have they have grants that people don't use at all. So I would just like to advise that if you have a dental issue, or even if you have issues with food, you could go to your nearest county public health department, and they have like free grants that people don't even use, even the citizens don't use. So and they were able to help me. I know I did it for free. I did an extraction for free, and they did it for free for me. So that's what I would like to add.
Thank you. Anybody else with a question?
Hello?
Yes, Harriet.
All right. Okay, with those of us who are expecting our families to join us soon, are there any benefits that we can get either from the university or outside the university when it comes to health or like food, additional stipends or small money here and there that we can get from organizations, either the universities or schools or churches, that we can help supplement our stipend in taking care of our children? Thank you.
Okay. For me, what I can say is that's a good question. So I'm one of those who, you know, I had my wife came over, and then we had a child, and of course we could no longer, as an F2, as a dependent. Most of the time, the dependents do not qualify to get social security numbers, so they are not authorized to work legally. Or even though, you know, there are things that can always be done under the table, like they say under the table. Under the table just means that somebody, maybe you can they can go work there and they are paid under the table, not really officially. So that's one way, at least, that my wife did. And there are also certain opportunities in the community, especially food. The food bank, somebody talked about the food bank. So there's communities, you will get places where they say, okay, churches or just local communities, they say every Saturday they are giving some food. So you would have to show up at a certain time, and then they would ask you how many people you are in your house. Then they would provide. So I think there's plenty of opportunities for food. There's also, like, under these table opportunities depending on where you are. But you talked about a stipend. So now this is where I think I try to caution people. We were able to apply for our son, because he was born in the US, food stamp because he was a citizen. So if you have a child who is a citizen, now you can apply for them food stamps because they are a citizen. But please don't do it with your number, social security number, or something like that, if you are not. Because yes, somebody might tell you, okay, you can just go apply, get the food stamps, but that thing will come back to bite you. Because when, for example, you want to immigrate and you are trying to apply for your papers, then those records will show up and it might affect your residency. So I just want you to be careful, even as people offer opportunities. Sometimes I know the things that really appear free, you know, and sometimes they look very enticing. They might have certain challenges moving forward. So just be careful, the community things, the church things, the local things. And if you have a kid who is a citizen, by all means, you can apply for them. Maybe Dr. Cherono has more to say.
Well, I guess like what you can do is if you have health insurance, then your family should have health insurance. You should be able to add them to your coverage as a student, right? And then you can also ask if they can transition and go to school. So that's the only advice is, again, what we're telling you is just be very cautious, because you don't want to get on the wrong side of the law, because that would really impact you. So just do the right thing. Like I said, there's a lot of food on campus. There's a lot of resources on campus. But I believe you should, if you have health insurance, you should be able to add them to your insurance. And then see if they can enroll in school and ask for assistantship. Again, that's why I said those networks, those relationships, if you go international students and say, hey, my spouse is coming, my child is coming, what resources are there? So once you know places to go to, then, build those networks and build those relationships.
Yeah, and for health cover, what I want depends with school to school. Like my school would only give me health cover, but not anybody else. So I remember my wife, we were expecting, and there is this thing that they would apply for you called MOMS. So it's more like a government. It's Medicaid. It's more like it's a part of Medicaid, but it's given on emergency basis just to take care of maybe the pregnancy, and after that they can pay for your expenses, and after that they terminate it. So those are things. WIC also, I think under such circumstances, there is something, women, infants, and children. So those women who are expecting, because the law actually allows you to benefit from such programs in the interest of your child, because your child is now considered a potential US citizen. So things like that, I think you can easily get.
Thank you. Anybody else with a question? And as you're still asking question, there's a feedback form on the chat. Please take a few minutes and fill it for us. We'll appreciate it. Titus?
And not another question, but a comment. And this is me advising my past college self. Honestly, you know yourself best, so you know your financial situation best. There are going to be people who will make fun of you for not going out at night. There are going to be people who will put you down because you can't afford this or afford that. Not because you can't, you can, but it's not a priority right now. There are those people you will dine with every or so week at a good restaurant, only to realize that they have internships that can help them afford that kind of food, and while you are going broke. So honestly, remember that self-awareness is key. You know yourself and your situation best, and again, think in the long term. Yes, it's perseverance. Perseverance as a college student is not emphasized enough. So just persevere the short term, have your tiny goals, tiny habits, and in the long term, they'll pay off. You'll get to Patrick's level, Professor Gerono's level, where you can buy anything you want. But for the time being, just persist and persevere. That's another thing I remembered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just put it like this. I came to this country, I got to the airport, I only had $50 in my pocket. Okay.
Like 30, you had a lot of money. I had 20.
I had $50 in my pocket. And courtesy of those, you will make mistakes. So also don't shy to make mistakes. Sometimes you'll find yourself in mistakes. I think one thing if I'm gonna say anything that you need to, because you will not remember all these things that we talked about sometimes, have a mentor. Have a mentor. And when you are in doubt, or when you are trying, you are in the valley of serious decisions, you want to make, should I do this? Should I not do this? Maybe somebody is trying to sell this to me. What? Have this one person you trust. Call them and say, here is the situation. What do you think? What's your best advice? I think if you consistently stick to that, you will navigate this terrain. And I tell you, what I learned, you know, there's a mistake I made at some point. I bought I bought a car on loan, on credit, right? And then I started to realize it wasn't just the payments that you are supposed to make. Now you have to pay for comprehensive insurance. Now you realize, oh, it was a mistake, but now you've made that mistake. Now in the next car that I bought, I planned for it, that I want to buy a car, and I bought it cash. It was, I mean, you can get yourself out of certain things just because you have somebody who you can call and will tell you, if you want to buy a car, don't get into a loan of $20,000 as a student. They will tell you all the implications. So have that mentor who will help you make the best decisions throughout your time. And lastly, what I wanted to say is, know your value. Know your value, and once you have known your value, use that value to your advantage. Okay? Thank you.
Great. Like you said, I'm going to add on knowing your value is like, again, use that to your advantage, know your value by getting connected. You know, that's how you get. So if you put yourself out there, if you're connected, like I said, if there are scholarships, if there are conferences, then people, your school will, you know, more likely sponsor you. If you go to them and say, hey, I really want to go to this conference, can I get any support? And if they know you, if they know who you are and your value, people will invest in you. We all came here, we thought we were going to finish one degree, but now we're able to continue. Did my master's, did my doctorate, and now here we are. So your dreams are valid. Go for them.
Absolutely.
Any other faculty member who can share another word of wisdom or two?
Hello, I don't know if I'm audible.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think I was just laughing at myself because of what I was thinking about this program. Because I just came here recently. I'm here for a short-term program for maybe 8 months. I was saying, can I really join this? But I ended up, I'm laughing because I've really received a lot of insight and wisdom from what Patrick is teaching, from what Professor has been, sharing. I think even from what Patrick was saying, I think this is a very good platform. This is a very good platform in terms of sharing insights and experiences from what you guys have gone through. And I think something I've picked very important is the fact that we need to be very careful in terms of how we carry ourselves when we are here. For someone like me, I know I'll be going back maybe in the next 6 months or so. I will not be maybe very keen in terms of maybe what I was thinking. I won't be very keen in terms of how I carry myself because there are no repercussions. But I think from what I'm hearing in terms of how the rules are here or records, and maybe in the future may want to come back, I will not want something like that to distract me or deny me such an opportunity. So I think this has been good. Thank you for your different experiences. I've really enjoyed, and I really look forward to going future forums like this. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Buona Keegan.
Thank you, Vincent. We appreciate it and come back again. I don't know if I shared this. My first car, I bought it for $250. I don't even know, it was a brown car. I don't even know the make. But that car lasted for almost 10 years. It was a stick shift. I didn't even know how to drive it. I figured it out, and then I drove it. But my brother came. I gave it to him. We gave it to somebody else, and it's still, we earned it down, and it lasted forever. And I think I got it from somebody at church for $200. And so those metrics.
No more questions? I guess you guys are